This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
The blood washed away, but the guilt never does. Welcome to Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski, featuring psychotherapist and author Siobhan Scott.
NDAs. We've all known that Sean Diddy Combs certainly made a lot of use of them. A lot of celebrities do. A lot of business people do. They're not an uncommon thing, depending on what exactly you do for a living and what you're interacting with. And it doesn't always mean there's an NDA because there's some sort of unscrupulous sex party going on in the next room. A lot of times it's just there to protect assets, protect information. That's what it's usually there for, so it doesn't leak out. When your NDA is there to protect information that may involve sexual assault or child trafficking or human trafficking, that's a little bit different. Joining me to discuss, Siobhan Scott, psychotherapist and author. The NDA of Diddy has allegedly leaked out. It is very legalese. I did take a look at it. There really wasn't a lot to note in terms of like specific weird Diddy-ish things. It just kind of seemed like a simple boilerplate. You can't talk about anything you just saw in here, period, with a lot of words. What's your thoughts on this? I mean, a lot of people probably signed that thing going because they wanted to be at the Diddy parties. Are there a lot of people regretting that at this point? And really, I know it is a legal question, but it's not a legal question. At this point, does it even matter that these NDAs were signed with what we know about Diddy and the allegations against him?
Well, I would think if we were looking at, what does the NDA mean, that the person who put the NDA out there can sue you if you break the rule on that. I don't see him suing anybody at this point. I don't think it's going to go that way. And just putting it in context, it's another piece that just, at least superficially, looks pretty awful. I've never had to even think about an NDA for my life. My parties aren't quite that out there. So.
No, certainly not for parties or anything like working on a book or sure. Then I'll maybe an NDA with the publisher. But the papers, I mean, I guess going into a little bit of detail, basically the events stopped people from talking about him for 70 years. Kind of an interesting number there. 70 years. Does that, aren't NDAs kind of I don't have a ton of experience with them, but they're kind of usually in perpetuity, aren't they? Like for the rest of your life, you're not talking about this. 70 years is an odd number to me. It almost is like, I do want people to know about what happened eventually when I can't be affected by it.
I'll be long dead after 70 years. That is interesting. I think I'm going to research that more. I know both my sons work in technology and pretty much every company they work for, they have to sign NDAs. So I've never asked, and how long is that supposed to last for? 70 years is very odd. It's
a bizarre type number for something like this, but nonetheless, a lot of people have signed those NDAs when they went to the parties, and now we're learning more and more about them. Another big piece this last week in the world of Diddy, Courtney Burgess, who was the individual who was pretty close with Kim Porter, allegedly, for quite a while, is also the same person who a few weeks back released that memoir, which he claims was Kim Porter's. Amazon ended up pulling it down. A lot of people, both pro-Diddy and not pro-Diddy, speaking out saying, I don't believe this was the person. The name Al B. Sure came up, which I haven't heard since 1980 soft rock radio, and was like, okay, he was apparently also very close with Kim, a former ex, actually, that said, I don't think there's anything to this. But Courtney Burgess ended up in front of a federal grand jury last week, talking about the book and also claiming to have 11, I believe, gigabytes or terabytes, it's one of the two, of information, of video of the parties that he claims Kim Porter, Diddy's ex, gave to him before her tragic and very sudden death. The fact that it's in front of a federal grand jury, that tells me that maybe Courtney has some facts behind them and not just everybody saying, nah.
Yeah. Yeah, I go that same direction with it. They wouldn't be wasting time if they thought there was nothing to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a scary thing to think about if, in fact, his claims are true, that Kim Porter saw ahead enough. And obviously she wasn't doing this when she was, in a coma dying, but she saw ahead enough going, someone needs a record of this stuff because this isn't right what's going on over here. And then she dies. Leaked the information, dies. Seems a little suspicious, seems a little weird.
It sure does. It sure does. Yeah.
As the layers of secrecy surrounding Sean Diddy Combs continue to peel back, the NDAs he once relied upon to shield his empire from public scrutiny are proving to be less of a fortress and more of a smoke screen, I guess you could say, designed to keep the world at bay. Those documents, which once held the power to silence those in his orbit for decades, are now being scrutinized under the harsh light of a federal investigation. What were once simple legal agreements to protect business interests now stand as potential evidence in a sprawling case involving allegations of abuse, exploitation, and misconduct that span years and even possibly decades, and involve minors. The fact that these NDAs reportedly covered everything from wild parties to potential criminal activity is chilling in itself, but the revelation that Kim Porter, Diddy's late ex-partner, anticipated the need for a record of these events adds to an even darker undertone. If Porter did indeed pass along the hard drives and manuscripts to trusted individuals before her untimely death, it raises the question, did she know something that could have protected others, and was she silenced before she could speak fully? With witnesses like Courtney Burgess now stepping forward testifying before a federal grand jury and claiming to possess damning video evidence, the stakes have never been higher. This case is no longer just about Diddy's reputation. It's about uncovering the truth behind the glittering facade of wealth and fame. The legal battles ahead will be intense. But one thing is certain, the silence Diddy fought so hard to maintain is crumbling, and the world is finally hearing the stories that were meant to be buried. We'll continue to follow this case as it unfolds. I'm Tony Brueski. Be sure to press subscribe so you don't miss any updates as we dig deeper into the shadows of Diddy's empire. Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
You're neck deep in a dark, twisted tale, and just as the tension peaks, bam, a commercial about some miracle diet pill breaks the spell. It's like finding a fly in your soup after the first bite. But here's the fix. True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. You get to enjoy your crime stories without the junk, ad-free episodes, extended interviews that go beyond the surface, and early access to all the gruesome details. It's like swapping out a can of cheap beer for a glass of fine whiskey. So search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe and keep the darkness flowing uninterrupted.